Hey guys, this is Alicia, and I'm calling you today from the Mardell parking lot because, ironically enough, we are talking about Kindles and digital books or eBooks today, even though we just came back from going to Mardell to pick up some physical Bibles because I'll get into this, but that's the one thing that I for sure prefer to have physical is a Bible because on Kindle, Bibles are a nightmare to navigate. It's really hard to find what you're looking for. So anyway, today's homeschool resource are Kindle e-readers and how we use them for homeschooling. So no news. I think everybody is familiar in 2020 with what an e-reader is, but I want to go into exactly how we use it and why we decided to incorporate them into our homeschool. And that is because I have 4 kiddos still at home, and instead of buying several copies of, or at least 4 or 5 copies of one title, we can share them. When you buy a book or check out a book from the library, and for your Kindle, there are 6 licenses, so you can put it on 6 different devices. And this has come in handy when we do round robin reading. So remember back in elementary school when you had to read a paragraph or a page at a time and then it went on to the next person? We do that as a family. It's great for a lot of reasons, for reading comprehension, for getting a chance to practice reading out loud and speaking and pronouncing clearly. All of those things are advantages. We recently finished George Orwell's Animal Farm, reading that together, and we're currently reading Up From Slavery by Booker T. Washington together. And instead of, like I said, having to have multiple copies, I put it on, I check it out, or in this case, I bought them, and we all have the same copy right there in front of us to follow along. I like Kindles better than tablets, even though they do have iPads. I prefer they read on Kindles for a couple of reasons. The e-ink is easier on their eyes, and it doesn't hurt their eyes or use battery quite as quickly as a tablet. The batteries on these things, matter of fact, last about 2 weeks. If you actually put them to sleep and close the cover when you're done, you can easily have battery for 2 weeks. So they're great, and they hold lots and lots and lots of books, lots of space, because books take up a very little space. So this particular one is a 2012 Kindle Touch, and up until recently they all had this version. I had gotten them used on eBay for about $30 to $50 depending on I think one time I got 2 for $75 or something. But I like the 2012 versions because they still had the audio jack. You were able to listen to audiobooks or speech to text. These will actually read along with you, which is great when you have early readers and people that are just getting started on reading, where they can read along and it will highlight the words as you read. But I really like this version. I didn't see the need to upgrade because there were very, very little changes on. Sorry, I have lipstick. There we go. They have very little changes on the different versions up until recently, and these work just fine. This is my son's. I don't know. You were looking at Up From Slavery, but I want to show you on his. He has Hazardous Heroes. You can get graphic novels on here. This is the Nathan Hale series that a lot of boys like. My 10-year-old is thumbs upping because she also likes it. My 11-year-old is pretty indifferent on it, but he does a lot of series about the Battle of Alamo, and this is the Revolutionary War, I think. So
One Dead Spy.
One Dead Spy.
About British and Americans fighting.
Okay, it's about the Revolutionary War, British and Americans fighting, like he said. So these are really great, but I am slowly upgrading everybody to the new Kindle Paperwhites, like I said, at a time, because resources are limited. I don't have unlimited funds, but as these stop working, and some of them, I think Amazon has started phasing them out because even though they lasted so long, they started glitching, and once they glitch, Amazon, I chatted with them and I said, I just got this off of eBay. It should work. What's the problem? And they said, you know what? We don't even support that anymore. Here's $30 to use towards a new Kindle. So go ahead and upgrade. So maybe that worked for you at some point. I'm sure they will stop doing that if enough people do it. But just, it might work for you. Anywho, my girls have Paperwhite, and you can kind of see on there they have audible titles, which is Beauty and the Beast she's listening to, and Pinocchio, A Christmas Carol. This one, you see that cover means that this was one of those free or super cheap classic books that you can find. There are book lists at nauseum online, and I will list a few of them where very talented and dedicated bloggers have gone through and curated list of books that are in Creative Commons, or not Creative Commons, but basically the copyright has expired on them, so you can get them super cheap. That's another thing. It's super easy to find on Kindle, and you'll notice too, with quarantine and a lot of the libraries closing, you can't go and get the big stack of 50 books like we used to like to get at the library, but this never stopped, and we were able to check them out through the Libby app, send them to our Kindle, and still check out books. So the only difference, like I said, with the Paperwhite, whereas the older ones had a jack for headphones, these have no headphone jack. So Reagan, can I see your headphones? What I had to do was go to Five and Below and get some super cheap $6 headphones, which they weren't Five and Below, but these are $6 Bluetooth headphones that my kids use for this, because you can't plug a headphone into it, which is another reason why I stayed with the older ones, because I didn't want to deal with Bluetooth headphones for a while. But anywho, these are the other thing about the Paperwhites, they load a little faster when you try and look at something. You can look. Oh, that's an audiobook. Math Inspectors. They load faster, and they have a backlight, so you can read in the car or read, when you're sleeping. No, not when you're supposed to be sleeping. You can read when you're supposed to be sleeping, I'm sure. Yep, they do that. You can read in bed with the lights off. It has a backlight, which is really cool. And when we travel, they can take that with us. So there's also something called Kindle Free Time. And Kindle Free Time is essentially Amazon's library that you can pay, I think, a subscription of $3 or $4 a month, and you get access to a bunch of their books. I don't open up my kids to Kindle Free Time. Sometimes I will put it on mine because it allows me access to books that I'm looking for, but I don't want them to have the ability to just browse unrestricted, because it's, even on the kids thing, in my opinion, again, y'all already know how I am. I like to curate. I like to set the stage about what my kids are meditating on. So in so much as I can help it, at the age that they're at, I'm going to make sure that they don't have unadulterated access to things that are not edifying, or things that might be honestly traumatizing to them. So I don't just open it up, because even on the kids thing, they have some really ugly attitudes and stuff that I don't want them to see. But that said, you always have the option of, it's a little more tedious, but you can have free time as a parent account and then send specific titles to the kid. So that is also an option. Honestly, I usually don't bother with it, because on the Libby app, you can check out 30 books at a time. It takes 2 clicks to send it to a device. So I don't even bother with Kindle Free Time a lot. And last thing, I have the Kendolo Aces, because I'm the mom and I can do that. I can have the upgraded version. This is the waterproof Oasis version. It'd be nice if I knew how to unlock it. So this is my version. It's the same thing as Paperwhite. There was no need to get them a Paperwhite, because this is the same thing. I like holding it and being able to use my thumbs to navigate. So that was the advantage for me. And honestly, my husband was like, get what you want. So I said, yes, I'm going to spend the extra $50 or whatever and get, it has a little more space. It has the same backlight, but functionally it's the same device as the Paperwhite. So for sure the kids were going to get the Paperwhite. And to show you the cover on this one. Oh, well, I can't show. Anyway, that's one of my favorite resources that I'm going to talk about. And that is Instructing a Child's Heart, the book that I'm reading right now. It's so good. Anyway, that's it. The resource for today are Kindles, and how we use them is, I explained the parental controls. Thank you, Cameo. I explained the parental controls. I explained how we check out books from Libby, how we sometimes use free time, and that you can buy Audible books. I do not know how to get books from the library. On audiobooks from the library on here, I've only been able to figure out how to get Audible books on there. So that's a consideration. That's why we have the iPods to check out books from the library and put songs on there. But other than that, yeah, and I also buy books and find cheap and reduced priced Kindle books. I think Amazon even has a special right now. You get like credit. You buy $10 worth of ebooks and you get credit for like $3 or $4 anyway. Any excuse to buy books. Any excuse to buy books. And why we use it. One, to save money theoretically, because instead of buying multiple copies or classroom sets, I can just get one copy and everybody will have a copy. To be able to, oh, I didn't mention this, to reduce clutter. So we RV, if you're not aware, we RV, and we have a channel for that too. So if you're interested, you can see our RV videos. But instead of carrying around a bunch of books, I keep like 2 or 3 physical books. But instead of having to carry a bunch of whatever they're reading, I make sure that they have loaded their Kindles and they take this with them. It's a lot easier to carry this than a bunch of physical books. And also, ease of checking out books, being able to check out books from the library without physically towing everybody to the library. And I saw my son's Bible there. The only disclaimer is that certain books, like the Bible, are really hard to navigate on there. So we have physical Bibles. But other than that, the Kindles have been a great resource for our family. So thank you. I am going to cut this off and drive home and get out of this rain. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Bye.